taking so long, and you can have as much time as you like. We're all prepared to stay up until at least midnight to listen to your
No,
present.
that's totally fine. And we did talk water meters as we went through. So, Yuma everyone. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands that we're meeting on today, the Ngunnawal people, and especially thank them for their care of country and the waterways that we all get to benefit from today. So, it might be helpful to put the presentation up. So why we're here today is to talk to you about our price review process that we're starting, which determines where Icon Water invests and how we provide our services in the 5 years from 2028 to 2033. So really today is making you aware of this process, how you can get involved, different ways that you can provide us feedback, because we use community insights to help us shape what our priorities are. So in terms of our next price proposal, as I said, it will start from the 1st of July 2028. And for Icon Water, if you just jump onto this slide, yeah, perfect. We are regulated by an independent economic regulator called the Independent Competition Regulatory Commission, or otherwise known as the ICRC, and they review our investment or price proposal, and they decide the final approach, including our prices that we charge for both water and wastewater or sewage services in the ACT. So we really want to hear from you. We want to hear about what outcomes are important to you, as we have some big decisions to make for the future of Canberra in the coming years and for the 5 years ahead. If we jump onto the next slide.
Marcus, the slide isn't showing online.
Oh, it isn't?
Okay.
Oh dear. Oh, we're fixing that.
Sure.
Here we go. Yep.
Remember that long.
Sure.
Could you just tell me, are we in a 5-year time frame from 2023 to 28 at the moment for the
Absolutely.
pricing?
Yes.
So does the pricing stay the same over those 5 years?
No, but thank you for the question, because I haven't really included it on the slide, but there's really two processes that determine prices that are charged.
Oh.
So when we go through this 5-year process, the regulator determines a 5-year price direction or price path. So they'll determine sort of almost like in this period, they determined a 6.1% increase each year. So the idea is they're smoothing it over the 5 years so that there isn't big ups and downs. What happens then on an annual basis is they adjust for inflation.
Yes.
And any unknown regulatory change that might have happened since they made their 5-year price direction decision. So one you can think about kind of sets the direction, and there's kind of an annual review and true up process, but only accounting for those things of inflation and regulatory change.
It's 6.1% per year over
5 years.
each year for 5 years.
Yes.
It's 30% over 5 years.
Yes.
That's a massive increase compared to inflation. Cost
So
of living.
we do have some of the lowest water price bills across the country, so they're going to be looking at that. They're looking at what it takes to run a business for the 5 years, and what they're considering as well, and Icon Water is considering as well, is what investment is needed in that 5 years. If we go too low, we push the pressure, and the fairness of pricing becomes unfair for the next generation or for the next 5-year cycle. So they'll look at this 5 years and the next 5 years where we think our investment's going to go over that period, but the detailed planning becomes about the 5-year period ahead. And we'll get into, as we go into this, a little bit about some of the things that are putting pressure on prices for water services and wastewater services.
So just before we move on, just as an example of of the future of water and so on.
Yeah.
Those of us who've been here for a long time
Sure.
paid for that Cotter Dam.
Sure.
And we were told when that Cotter Dam was
Yeah.
built that we would never have to worry about water in our lifetimes again.
Yeah. Okay.
But is that no longer the case, or are we talking? I realise that water has to flow through pipes, and
Sure.
you know there's infrastructure associated with that. But in terms of the supply of water, we were led to believe at the time that we were being future-proofed.
I mean, the picture has changed, and that's one of the drivers that we will get into. What I can say is the investment in the Cotter drought really paid off in the last drought. The enlarged Cotter Dam.
Right.
That's what you're referencing, the enlarged Cotter Dam. Yeah. So the enlarged Cotter Dam is how we navigated the last dry period from 2017 to 2020 without having to go into water restrictions while the rest of the region around us was in water restrictions and dealing with, almost water outages, water shortages. So that has helped us navigate that period. But as we move into the future, between population growth and aging assets and the impact of climate, so particularly what we are seeing is a change in the behaviour in the catchments. So we're getting less runoff into our dams overall. We're experiencing higher temperatures, and that's having an impact on water supply, water sources as well. Does that help? I wasn't here when the community. I've heard previously that there were things around not going into water restrictions for 20 years. Was it that kind of messaging, or
it was
specifically we'll never have?
Oh no, look, I don't remember the specifics. I remember the message being, we'll basically never have to worry about water, about water availability.
Yes, I mean, and all I can say is it's helped us navigate the most recent dry period, but it's not going to be. We never have to think about another water source again. Yeah. Right. Does that?
Please go on.
Yes,
go on.
Good. But when we talk about climate, we can come back to it. So we at Icon Water are really proud that we're part of a legacy that's been serving the community for over 100 years, delivering safe and reliable water and wastewater services in the ACT. We are owned by the ACT government, but we operate independently and remain accountable to the community. So we do have that independent pricing regulator.
You remain accountable to the community as a government entity or as a private entity?
We're a territory-owned corporation. So we fund ourselves through water prices, not through anything that the ACT government provides us. And we remain accountable to the community because we're providing an essential service. Yeah. So in terms of, there's just a few facts for anyone who does like data. So we have, you mentioned earlier about the networks, we have about 3,400 kilometres of water pipes, and the same in terms of sewer or wastewater pipes. We have 4 wastewater treatment plants, but our main one is up at Lower Molonglo at Holt, and we have 2 water treatment plants, one in Stromlo and one in Googong, just over the border in New South Wales. So if we jump onto the next slide, there are a number of entities or roles and responsibilities within how water is governed and provided in the ACT. So I won't go through all of it. Some of the key things to know is the ACT government sets water policy priorities and licenses. So they issue us what's called a utility license actually it's the ICRC. They work with the Murray-Darling Basin Plan, and the National Capital Authority maintains and protects Lake Burley-Griffin. As I said, the ICRC is our economic regulator. They set the maximum prices, and in this sense, they're overseeing our utility license. Icon Water, I sort of went through that, so I won't go through with that again. And the community, obviously, are users of our services, and they shape our demand. And as I said, your input from the community helps inform our price proposal, our prices, and our service levels, which is the other element of price. And we know the community expects us to be transparent in our decision making. So jump onto the next slide. So we probably don't need to go through this too much, but stop me on anything. This is our role and how we provide those water and wastewater services, including the importance of protecting our catchment and safeguarding our catchment and protecting the environment that has a role in terms of, we've talked a little bit about the impacts of climate change, but also being able to consider places where we can make a positive contribution to the environment. And as I said, we're managing $3.7 billion of assets, which is dams, treatment plants, reservoirs. They're the local storage that we have within your communities, pumping stations, mains, and all sorts of other related infrastructure, including we talked about water meters earlier. So,
sorry, just on dams.
Sure.
How far up the watershed, up the feeding to a dam, does your responsibility and control?
Yes,
extend?
that's a really good question. So we're not responsible for the land around the catchments. That's parks and conservation. We are responsible for the water once it's in the dam.
Right.
Yeah.
So at the point that it flows into the dam.
Yeah.
So nothing in whatever, like Cotter River or whatever.
Yes.
Above the dam, you have nothing to do with.
No, we absolutely have something to do with it because we've got a working and partnership relationship with parks, but in terms of who's responsible, it is parks. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you explored whether any of the dams can be used for hydroelectric generation, power generation?
There is a little bit of hydro on Googong Dam, but we're really using it primarily for water supply as the priority for the ACT. Yeah. So this is my slide around the challenges that we were talking about. I guess maybe I'll just pull out the key bits because I've already touched on the key elements. So we are planning for a population that is increasing from 450,000 people in 2021 to forecast to be around 800,000 people in 2065.
Oh, absolutely appalling.
Okay, we just work with the forecast that we are given. Operating within a more variable and unpredictable climate, as I said, rising temperatures, rainfall variability, droughts, heat waves, and storms. And we have aging assets, and aging assets can lead to deteriorating asset performance. So much of the ACT's infrastructure was built when Canberra went through its boom in the 60s and 70s. So much of that infrastructure is reaching the end of its engineering and useful life. So either higher maintenance costs to keep maintaining it, or increased repair costs, as well as increased replacement costs. So we're very conscious of this need to balance investment and customer affordability, and we are using that to underpin all of our planning because there are trade-off decisions and difficult decisions to be made ahead. If we jump onto the next slide. So this is our business strategy for the 10 years through to 2035. So this is what drives the organisation in terms of our highest priorities. You can see in the centre there, our vision is creating a sustainable water legacy for our community. So we're very conscious that we benefit from the investment decisions and the planning that has gone into how water is provided in the ACT almost from its formation, given where we were chosen and, you know, the ACT being chosen for its water source, all the way through to the enlarged Cotter Dam, through to what decisions we'll make next for the Canberra community. Our purpose is delivering essential water services every day. These are, if you go around the outside of those aspirations with the little icons, the one that we're here today to talk to you about is we need to invest more. We also need to keep prices affordable for our customers. And so we're looking to work with our community to strike that balance as part of investing for the future and delivering value for our community. So if we jump on to I just want to leave enough time for questions. So these are kind of the high level steps in our price proposal. This makes it all look very neat. There's sometimes a little bit more iterative backwards and forwards. So, but where we are now is the customer and community engagement element of our price proposal. So we engage with our community all the time on different topics, but this is how we bring it all together to understand where we need to invest and where we need to prioritise service for our customers. And then we will develop a draft price proposal of what investments we think we need, why they're needed, and the impact to different types of customers. And then that draft proposal gets submitted to the Commission or the ICRC about end of year next year. So end of financial year 2020. What are we in? 6, 7? Yeah, I should work in months. And then they will publish their decision once they've had time to review it. They bring consultants in to look at key elements of it that might be experts in that investment area, and they may make some recommendations or question some changes. And then we provide a response to that draft decision. And those final, the Commission publishes its final decision towards mid-2028 before those prices take effect on the 1st of July 2028. Hopefully I haven't lost anyone.
No, but see the community engagement at the beginning.
Yes.
Is there any opportunity for loops so that the community comments towards the end before it's...
Yes, so the ICRC has processes around that. And so there is also a potential that if we get some feedback that we might test something more with the community. There's definitely opportunities for feedback loops to say this is what we've heard, and there's ways that you can register to hear what's happened when we've published our draft decision. But the ICRC will also have a consultation process as well. If we jump onto the next slide. So what do we already, I talked about how we engage with our customers on an ongoing basis. What do we already know? So these are some of the key things, and they'll probably resonate with all of you. Reliable water and wastewater services, quality drinking water, affordable pricing, and responsive customer service. If we jump on to the next slide.
Oh, goodness.
So this is kind of a busy slide because we're doing a lot to use different channels, different mechanisms to hear from our community. All the ones with the little 3 dots, dialogue boxes in the top right-hand corner, all of those are ones that are available to you to get involved in. We have a short customer survey on our website right now that you can fill in. That's sort of beginning to explore priorities. And obviously the one with the star on it is what we're here to do tonight, which is starting conversations with Canberra's community councils. And then I guess at the end of the presentation, we could talk about what you want to hear from us, how you want to hear from us, frequency, all of those things. So this presentation will be available, so it might be helpful if we just go on to the next one, unless anyone wants me to explore all the elements. No, great. Okay. So how you can be involved. So if you wanted to get your phone out, this is a QR code that actually goes to the survey. We'll leave this up if that's okay. There's a link to more information on our website. If you'd like to get in touch with us and send us specific feedback about something that you've been thinking about, there's the email address for our community engagement team, and we'll keep a register and log of all of the information. So it should only take 5 minutes to do this particular short survey, and it's just the start. Like, there are other ways, as we saw on that earlier slide, for you to get involved. So that's kind of how to go for time.
Yep, that's great.
I've got some questions.
Yes, I've got
Brilliant.
May I?
Yeah,
okay. Okay. Has anybody crunched the numbers when you're talking about a population increase of almost double, if not more, and the yield, the natural water yield, and the consumption that we make today, and work out what is going to be needed in whatever year that you predicted? Because I suspect by that stage climate change is going to be making merry hill. And I would be interested to know what the stats there. That's one question. So you can think about that.
Keep the answer, but I'll hold it in my head.
I will remind you, recycling, where is that in? And we're talking about consumption of people at the moment, but Canberra is the garden city. And I would just wonder what amount of water are you are you thinking about? And the fourth thing is we're in the Murray-Darling Basin. What is expected to be able to, now I know New South Wales probably does some interesting things up north, and in terms of irrigation, where things have been oversold in terms of irrigation licenses, and we know that is, sorry, I used to work with the MBBA, and I tend to think that what is going to go on in terms of what are we supposed to be as it goes through Canberra, which is the biggest city in the whole of the MDB, then what are we supposed to be allocating to make sure it goes into the basin and goes all the way down, all the way? So how much does the ACT have to contribute to that? Is there a set figure, or is it just as it flows?
There is for the ACT, for Icon Water, that we then have a limit within that. And then there's what's called a sustainable diversion limit, but maybe we'll go in order. So I should have said I've got my colleague Kathleen here, so she's taking down all the notes and all the areas of questions, so that we make sure that we don't forget.
Crunch the numbers, 800,000.
Crunch the numbers. Okay, so let's go with that one first. So it's really interesting that you and really timely that you said climate change, because what we are in the process of doing at the moment is using the latest science on climate change to update what we call our water model. So I don't have the answer to that yet, but yes, there is a process for looking at the water model. It's not because there are levers that can be pulled within it, and we'll talk about those levers in a minute. And you've touched on some of them already, that would be more like time frames than it's definitely this year that we need this. But we are updating that model at the moment. So with that climate science that I said.
And recycling?
Did you want me to talk about the levers, or do you want to jump straight to
levers?
Yeah, so absolutely there are a number of levers that influence how much water is needed. One of those is around demand. So how much water people use, water conservation behaviours, those kinds of things. And so Canberrans have done a lot to reduce their usage since the millennium drought. So it's down.
Sprinklers being used.
35 to 40% down. So that's good. But what more can we do is a question. And then there's looking at how we use our sources and move between them to maximise the amount of available water to us, and that's something that we do right now. And then the third one is obviously around considerations for augmenting or adding to supply. So next question was around recycled water. Do you mean water as in purified recycled water?
Yes.
Yeah. So if that is something that we are looking at, purified recycled water is used in a lot of cities around the world.
So sorry to interrupt you, Davina, but Longlow already has a requirement to put water back into the Murrumbidgee, through the Longlow back into the Murrumbidgee at a certain quality.
Yes, correct.
So I'm wondering.
Is that what you're asking me? Or
No, I'm asking, we drink a lot of, we use a lot of water, and we use high grade water to water gardens and things like that. So I'm looking at how are we going to manage water in a very sensible way, knowing that it's precious. And so how's that all going to work out in the long term? And I expect that as the water flows through, it's meant to be distributed into the Murrumbidgee in a particular state. But I'm not talking about using recycled water. Both either for drinking at some stage or other. I'm sure we'll get to that. But in the meantime, what's it called, grey water or something like that? How
as in storm
and stormwater and all that sort of thing. I'm just wondering does Icon have that? Is that under your remit, or is that Parks and Wildlife or whatever?
So stormwater is managed by the ACT government. In terms of considering recycling of wastewater, that is within our remit. There are costs associated with it, so it's not so much about the science, so it's about the feasibility of how might that be done, what's the best way to do that, what then is the impact on the yield or supply to what would that do for the water model? So all of that work is being looked at as one of the options on the table. Yeah.
Sorry, my point about Lama Longo was more
Yes.
about it's already required to let the water go at a certain quality.
Yes.
How much would be required to purify that water even more to get it to the state where we could, for example, use it on gardens or
that's some of the options being considered. The technology to the treatment technology and there is some reuse of the effluent within the plant, and there is one customer downstream that does get recycled water, not purified, not for drinking, for use for very specific circumstances, but it would need significant investment to be able to treat it to a standard that would meet drinking water quality guidelines.
But we already have it, don't we, on the playing fields, not to drinking water standards, but lower standards like Dixon Lynham.
Some do, I think.
Some do, but that's more at the playing field level where they've introduced the technology to reuse through their own sites.
That's ACT government.
Oh, so there's not a systemic approach to
because that would
playing field watering.
but that would cover gardens like you're worried about. Tipping Parliament House Creek. We're already doing it.
They're doing some of Parliament House using their own internal systems. And there are some that use from the lake. They're all different, localized. It's harder when you're trying to broaden the where it's used and how it's used. So there are some solutions like purple pipes, but the infrastructure and maintenance of that can sometimes mean that the cost benefit's not there. All of these things require a feasibility and a viability test.
You've just educated me about what purple pipes mean.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that term.
Yeah,
That's a good
term. No, I've seen them as in landscaping jobs with, and I thought,
pretty high water is not coordinating these various schemes that have been in Canberra for quite a while.
Some people make their own choices about what they want to do at their property level around how they may want to use water, how they want to reduce their bill. Yes.
I mean, but we're talking about an independent ACT government authority, and we're talking about ACT government usage on playing fields. And you're saying that Icon Water doesn't oversee.
They may be using stormwater. There's a range of different things that ACT government's doing as the operator of their own fields.
So I would have thought the first thing for you as an ACT government independent statutory organisation with policy and responsibilities would be to look at that as a way of being more water efficient and how you might better be able to encourage conversations between parties.
We definitely engage with them. We definitely do.
But I'm just saying you could up it a level.
I'm on a water efficiency planning program with them, so we definitely work in collaboration where that makes sense.
This is actual policy, which is one level higher, of saying, right, we're in favour of this.
Yes,
We've got these examples. How could we better work together? What would it cost? You know how to do it. I mean, this is.
And that's the work that's underway, and we do work with them in terms of the Office of Water, but a lot of feasibility and viability work needs to do, and sometimes you can do it at a small scale for like a field or something, and the most accessible source might be stormwater, and they may be
I'm talking about an ACT.
But when we are looking at scaling up, that's when we're looking at the options on the table and going, how could we, like, what's the yield of that, and then how would we deliver, what would be the cost and investment to deliver that, and is that the right solution?
Another approach,
systemic,
another approach would be top down, would be to say the ACT government needs this. We've already got examples that have, as far as I know, have been highly effective, haven't they? In the sports ovals, you see it national TV last week, people coming playing football there, this beautiful grass that, as far as I know, is entirely recycled water. So, you know, just conceptualise it back in the office, starting at the top and working down. How could we coordinate this better? across the whole of the territory.
You're talking about an integration program, aren't you?
Yes.
Not just top down, it's more integrated.
Yes, but first of all, you've got to have the policy that says, yes, this is a good idea within this time frame, at a reasonable cost.
Yeah.
And then then you're absolutely right. Then you go down. How can we integrate?
So there's 5 playing fields that might do it now, and you're saying, why can't we make it 55 or
Yeah, why can't we
105?
include Parliament? I mean, anyway, so
Can I just
please
also
think about it.
No,
Because I've got it.
it was my fourth one was
Yes,
trees.
It isn't.
Oh, trees, yes, yes.
My third or fourth one was because at the moment a lot of the Western plantings and also the other are probably in a state of senescence. A lot of them are.
Yes, yes.
And as anything I know about trees, when you replace them, young trees use much more water to grow.
They do.
And I'm just wondering how you factoring in the importance of growing trees, particularly wide canopy trees, to mitigate temperature. And I'm just wondering whether that's being factored in to the data that you're using at the moment to actually estimate what Canberra, and I still shudder at the 800,000.
Yeah.
But to me, trees are every bit as important and possibly more important in terms of urban heat stress.
Yes.
So, and this is going to happen. I live in an old area.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the Cedrus Atlantic and Glauca are just going to
Yes.
go in the next couple of years.
Yes.
Sure.
And then we're going to plant something probably similar,
Sure.
and they're going to suck a hell of a lot of water. Now, the community individually can't afford that, but I'm just thinking this is going to go right across Canberra.
Yeah.
Because so many of those trees are getting so old, and they have a finite life.
Sure.
So where's that going to be put into this numbers factor, and how are we going to, well, I presume we are going to be having to pay for it through our rates.
So water prices are sort of separate to rates, so it's
Well,
clarifying. But do you mean about the urban tree canopy?
Urban tree canopy and maintaining it.
Yeah.
So, but I would imagine that comes still,
Yeah.
still be connected to rates
Yes.
in some way.
Could
So-
I just add a bit in there, and this is going to be short, but
You're
because
okay.
it's related to all of these things that I've just heard now. I mean, I'm familiar with strata complexes that have got a lot of land and have been toying with the idea of using grey, black, whatever for garden maintenance and stuff to protect the tree canopies, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
one where I live has got a huge tree canopy, and that's going to cool the earth and therefore use less water.
Yeah.
But just the simple thing that I would like to think is that if we could get some consult for some of those complexes, if we could go somewhere for consultancy support,
Yes.
right, to tell us how to do it, because and who are the key players. I mean, because many years ago I looked at this in Majura Park, for example, right? The snow developments, they did a lot of that, with out there. So it would be good to be able to take on board some of those things in privately owned things,
Yes.
but only with consultancy type support being pointed to by you guys. I mean, you guys are the experts, so you know who the other experts are. So point some of them to us if we wanted to with that piece.
I think we'll note it down, the importance of trees. The tree canopy targets is ACT government, and there's
Yes.
the
ACT government owns
the tree protection. The trees. So we do have a lot of conversations about trees, because we are obviously, for all the reasons you pointed out, very pro tree. The challenge can be, where are the trees placed? Because trees placed close to sewer, when times get dry, those roots go searching and they'll break into sewer pipes. And so there is a balance in all of these conversations. And so when it's multiple parties within ACT government, it's bringing people together at the policy level to hear the different perspectives and then determine how do we balance the priorities. Similar to what we're trying to do here with the community around, tell us your thoughts, tell us about the things that you're thinking, and we need to consider that and balance it and bring those voices together. But it is something we're very conscious of and having a lot of discussions with ACT government around trees, the canopy, the importance of the canopy, and then the impacts of climate change for the various people setting policy.
I mean, if we look at Woden, there's hardly any policy to do with tree canopy at all. If you look at the Woden Town Centre, the government talks about tree canopy, but they don't take any notice.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of that.
Yes. No,
Okay. Sorry to intervene here, but I'm just conscious of time. I really like that idea, Gary, that you're putting forward, that some of these large complexes, I think, really have the potential to be large energy producers, also large recycled water producers, just because they use and um, waste a lot of water. They've got huge catchments on their roofs, etc. And I think your concept of economies of scale around some of the infrastructure that would be required to both capture, purify, and put water out. I think that's really worth exploring to further extent. So thanks for that little notion that you put forward. Look, Davina, I'd like to thank you and Icon Water for producing such a nice drop of water that we all have the pleasure of drinking. I've travelled extensively around Australia, and let me tell you, some of it's just shocking. When you put it in a glass and it's got that sort of slightly brown tinge, you think, oh, I'm not sure I'm going. I'm not sure I'm going there. But thank you very much for that. I think I'd pick up some of Steve's points about the affordability of water and water rates, etc. Really have an impact on people's, cost pressures in the family. And I think if it does go, if it's way above inflation, and in this case probably double, that's not helping the situation at all. And I think a lot of the government charges that I've noted this year are well in excess of inflation. So I think government's got to really have a look to say, well, if we're serious about cost pressures on people, we're going to have to think of our pricing, like our 5-year pricing shouldn't end up being 30%. Yeah, that's a real punch in the guts, I think, for the community. I love the idea that you are consulting heavily with the community, because some of the best ideas for doing things and getting solution are from the Canberra community, which I'm always amazed of how many experts there are wandering around the place. You walk through Dixon and there's professors of this, CEOs of that, and so I just think that capturing that intellectual property that's wandering around Canberra is really important. So thanks you too for your presentations, much appreciated. If you need anything else from the NCCC, I'm sure you're more than welcome to send us notes or whatever. And the reverse back from our very smart community. If people have got comments they'd like to make to either of our speakers, you can either come through the NCCC or you can contact them directly. I really hope people do get amongst the survey that's on Icon Water's website. And, when you've got having breakfast or a good 5 minutes, you can go online and pop a few answers into the slots. And for those who are either looking to downsize, upsize into a unit or apartment of any kind, I think you should join the OCN as well. I think that's extravagant, that amount you're charging, Gary. Was that $2.20, or did I get the decimal point in the wrong spot?
That's the reason that we don't have as many members, because people think it's that cheap, why join? It must be low value. So marketing people will tell you sometimes the right price is much higher.
Yeah, we're going to have one for the NCCC.